Hey guys, it's me, Korean high fantasy MMO Bus. God, I wish he's so goddamn handsome. Last October, NCSoft rolled out their shiny new MMO, Throne and Liberty. After a pretty brutal alpha cycle with a metric ton of negative feedback about the core gameplay loop and combat, expectations were lower than the chances of Half-Life 3 getting a release. And yet, despite all odds, and I'm sure a significant amount of crunching, the finished product actually included a ton of improvements and changes taken from that same tumultuous alpha cycle. So, because it's cold outside and the world is already depressing enough, I decided to jump into this barely 4-month-old MMO to see what it was like for a new player. And after playing 25-ish hours or so, I've got a few thoughts. Now, I did manage to try and start playing on what seemed to be the second day of a massive maintenance. Apparently, they were doing some server consolidation as the previous 300,000 or so daily logins had dwindled down to about 25,000 per day. I'm sure this isn't foreshadowing for any events to come. When I finally managed to log in, I get to play around with the character customization, which overall was pretty good. Though a bit disappointing, I couldn't create an abomination unless you upload a selfie to see a Korean MMO approximation of yourself. Jumping into the game finally, and it looks really pretty. Enemies, my doppelbus, the world itself, all very nice, all very shiny. Character controls feel pretty snappy as well. First quests were also pretty good, which show some of your character's backstory, setting up the plot, and he's the chosen one, of course, or Starborn in this game. The initial quests and the earlier story were pretty standard for our chosen one man, but holy shit, the voice acting, at least the English voice acting, it's really hit or miss.
Oh, hello! I saw you driving away those goblins. You were amazing.
Captain Henson wants me?
Huh? Where the hell did you find this? It's my armband from back in the day. Thanks for finding it.
Lots of great acting that's mixed in with lots of really bad acting. So sometimes you get AAA, and sometimes they just handed the mic over to an intern while they're on their lunch break. Even worse was when I noticed that NPCs in the game only have like 1 or 2 idle voice lines, and they just sit repeating those over and over and over again. Not a huge deal, but pretty annoying. There are some attempts at world building as well, but a lot of it is told through collectible books that are, for some reason, just lying all over the world. There's also tons of different events that are going on in the world all the time, which is great at first, but nothing is dynamic. It's all on a schedule, which can be really frustrating when you have a quest or an objective to kill one specific enemy, only to find out that that enemy won't be around until 3 a.m. next. Port Traversal is a shapeshift mechanic, and you can turn into a dog, which does cement this game as a 10 out of 10. Another huge plus was joining a group of other players to ride this giant flying island whale thing. That was awesome. Really fantastic. More moments like this can counter a ton of the negatives. On the flip side, why the hell does a PvP only event hard lock me out of any kind of action while it's going on? Like, if you aren't part of that event, you just can't interact with anything in the area at all. And from what I can tell, again, as a new player, you can only be part of the event if you're part of one of the guilds that's taking part in it. So a couple of times these events prevented me from progressing the main story PvE quest, as in you just couldn't click on or interact with any items or any of the enemies in the area. That was really annoying. If I'm in an observation mode or whatever, just make it so I can't interact with the players who are PvPing instead of literally everything. Shortly after this, I encountered an NPC dog that I could not pet, so the score drops back down to 0 out of 10. Combat is fun with nice snappy controls and pretty cool abilities, though some of them do feel like they should be instant or usable while you're moving, and they just aren't, which is pretty jarring. But then we get into character building, which I'm really mixed on. Game is classless, so your weapons determine your skills and spells. So swapping your weapons or your skills around, you can change your stat points and your talents. All of that feels really good. But then the true free-to-play MMO beast rears its head, where every skill, spell, armor piece, and weapon, they all have their own resources in order to upgrade and improve them. So you better hope that you really love your great sword bow build that you invested on early, because if not, and you find a real cool dagger and staff, you're going to need to invest some serious time grinding out those tomes and abilities before it feels like you can do any of the same content that you were previously blitzing. Oh, but don't worry, they do offer you all kinds of solutions to all of your problems in the cash shop. There's cosmetics, there's pets, character creation resets, leveling skips, battle passes, tackle boxes of fishing bait. You can buy Lucent, which is the in-game currency, which, yep, you can spend on the auction house. So you can just buy currency that you can use to buy gear. Oh, and of course, there's material caches as well as the weapon and item growth stones that you need to progress those abilities and skills and gear. So yeah, it's pretty pay to win. Sure, you could absolutely grind everything out in the game with a ton of time, but it is definitely tuned to be just frustrating enough to make you side eye that cash shop. And I'm seeing it as a pretty new, pretty early player, so I imagine it's a problem through most of the game. But despite that, I actually had a pretty good time playing the game. The dungeons, both the solo one and the group content that I did, was really great. The world is beautiful, it's really fun to explore. Traversal's fun, and the moment-to-moment gameplay is pretty engaging, as well as really relaxed. I don't know if it's going to be a mainstay for me, but I'm definitely going to keep picking away at it from time to time. Yeah, solid B tier MMO. Worth a shot if you're bored, but don't let the free price trick you, as it's most likely just bait. But hey, at least you can turn into a dog. Alright, thanks for watching, guys. Bye!